Hey traders, I've been getting some questions about opening a margin account or how I'm able to get the buying power or leverage that I have. I know some people were saying they could not get the same level of buying power with their broker. So I just want to talk through the process. My broker is TD Ameritrade. I use the Thinkorswim app that comes with TD Ameritrade. I've been with Thinkorswim almost since the beginning when they were their own broker. I've been with them since 2007, and then TD Ameritrade bought them a few years after that. So I still use the Thinkorswim platform, but you have to open up an account with TD Ameritrade to trade the Thinkorswim platform. So if you go to the TD Ameritrade website, up top it has Open New Account. And you'd specify, what type of account you're opening. Typically, everyone will be opening an individual brokerage account. You click Open an individual account, and then you start filling out the form. So what I did, there's an option to download the application, so I went ahead and did that so we could review the application in its entirety without me having to go in and create a new account here. So here's the download. And the first sections are pretty self-explanatory. Again, you specify the account you want. It'd be an individual account, or you could open up a joint account or an IRA. You're going to put in all your pertinent information, name, address, phone number, your employment information. Now, when it comes to getting approved for margin, we'll look at the various things that I think are important as far as getting the level of approval you need to trade on margin like I do. Of course, annual income and net worth is going to play into that. But, I know people who don't have a large annual income who are still able to get approved for the highest level of margin trading. And then we'll look at some of the other things you have to fill out too. But again, this will factor in, but I personally don't think it's as big of an issue because, like I said, I've seen traders who don't necessarily have a high income but are still able to get approved for the correct margin level. I'm just going to keep scrolling through these. Again, most of this is self-explanatory. Okay, this section is probably, in my mind, the most important section when trying to get approved for a margin account. So the first thing is, it's asking you your risk tolerance, the primary objective of the account, things like that. If you come through here and put conservative for every one of these, chances are they're not going to approve you for the highest level of margin trading because a lot of those strategies are, higher risk strategies. So, they're going to approve your account based on what you specify your risk tolerance is. So, if you're wanting to be able to sell puts on margin, you probably would have to be in the aggressive to speculative area for you to get that approval. Again, that's just what I've seen from other traders and how they fill this form out. I have no idea how my broker actually evaluates margin approval, but I feel like these sections are pretty important for that. So again, just make sure for each of these sections, you need to check the appropriate level of risk for the type of account you're trying to open. Okay, and so here you can see it talks about margin privileges. So again, the account's going to automatically be open as a margin account unless you check this box to decline margin privileges. So if you wanted to have just a cash account, you would need to check this box. This goes into talking about how you're going to fund your account, if you're going to do like a wire transfer or an ACH transfer. So here's the next important section, I feel like. So obviously you want to check that you want to trade stocks and options. Again, what are your investment objectives? So it allows you to check all that apply. So, I would probably just select all of them. And then here are the different tiers of approval. So it tells you, if it's tiered 1, you can only do like covered calls and cash secured puts. Tier 2 is a cash account, and you're only allowed to purchase options plus do all the tier 1 strategies. Tier 2 is your first level of margin accounts. It's called a standard margin account. It allows you to trade spreads. You can do some covered puts, and you can do everything as part of Tier 2 standard cash, which basically includes Tier 1 as well. Tier 3 is what you need to sell puts in the way that I sell puts, and that I'm able to get such a higher leverage on my margin, that I'm able to use less of my buying power when I'm selling puts. If you're in Tier 2, you would need to have the cash in your account to cover purchasing the stock, whereas in Tier 3, I only need about 20% of that buying power to sell puts in that same amount of stock. So if you want to be able to sell naked puts, you would need to select Tier 3. And then here I think is also an important section where they're really going to evaluate if they're going to approve you for Tier 3. So again, they want to see years of investment experience. If you check less than a year, chances are they're not going to approve you for tier 3. I mean, again, I don't know specifically which one is best, and I'm by no means telling people to lie, but again, this is going to be something they're going to factor in. They don't want to have an inexperienced person going out and doing advanced trading, because if you screw up and sue them, they could be liable, but at least now they can cover themselves. Because if you come in here and say you have 10 plus years experience and you blow up your account and you try to make an issue of it, they're going to say, hey, you told us you had enough experience, and that's what we were basing it on. So I think this, probably out of everything we've looked at, is going to be the most important factor in you getting your approval. And then also your knowledge or education. If you put limited knowledge, they're not going to give you tier 3. I'm sure they're going to probably want to see extensive or professional when it comes to that kind of level of approval. So that's really it. I mean, that's kind of the overview of the main sections that you're going to need to focus on when opening an account. Now, if you've already opened an account with TD Ameritrade and you did not get the tier 3 approval, if you go log into your account, I've already logged into mine, and if you go up to my profile and you want to go to general, you can see under general, my options trading says advanced. Normally it would give the tier. I guess that they've changed the naming convention. So if yours doesn't say advanced, if it shows, I guess it would probably show standard margin instead of tier 2, because mine shows advanced instead of tier 3. So if yours says standard margin, there should be a place probably next to the option trading level for you to apply for advanced. So if you've got a lower tier, I believe there's a link that allows you to apply. It doesn't show it here for me, obviously, because I already have the top tier. So you can apply and try to get approved for a higher level, and they will ask you some questions probably similar to the questions we just looked at. If you still can't get approved, another option would be to use a different broker. I know Tastyworks, I think, is a little more lenient on approving those higher tiered margin accounts. So I actually have a Tastyworks account. I never funded it. I opened one a few years ago thinking that I may switch over to them, but I was able to get TD Ameritrade to match their commissions. So I stay with TD Ameritrade. But you can see I have this account, and it's never been funded. Yet I have been approved for the highest level of trading. So it clearly wasn't based off of how much money I funded the account with, because I didn't fund the account. So it was clearly taking in some of those other questions into consideration for that approval. So you can see for trading objectives, I specified speculation, taking larger risk, usually by frequent trading with hopes of higher than average gain. Again, that kind of ties into more of the more advanced option strategies. You can see for trading knowledge, I had extensive for all of them, for stocks, covered options and spreads, uncovered options, and then for futures I just put good, because I do have experience trading futures in the past. And then lastly, the current plan. So instead of having tiers like with TD Ameritrade where they have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, Tastyworks calls them limited, basic, and the works. And so ideally what you're wanting to be able to do is sell naked puts. That will allow you to sell puts on margin and get that higher leverage like I do. And you can see the basic and the works both give you that. So that's why I'm saying they're a little more lenient, because in kind of their tier 2 equivalent to TD Ameritrade, they're allowing you to sell naked puts under basic. And then of course the works, you can do everything. So really your goal would be to be able to get the basic or the works if you want to sell naked puts. Now with the basic, you can't short sell stock, which most people don't do anyway. You wouldn't need to do cash accrued puts because you're going to be doing the naked puts, and it won't allow you to do naked calls and futures. So really the basic package is pretty good. The only additional thing from the works that I would think would be beneficial if you ever did want to get into selling some naked calls. So again, that's two options. I'm obviously biased to TD Ameritrade because I've been with them so long. I love the app, but I know a lot of people who trade Tastyworks as well and have nothing but good things to say about them. And some people that I know have switched over to Tastyworks from TD Ameritrade and like Tastyworks better. So it's really just, which application or which broker you feel like you like better. And I'm assuming other brokers are going to be very, very similar with the application process. So whether you use E-Trade or Charles Schwab or whoever your broker is, it's probably going to be similar questions, and you just need to make sure that the answers you get to those questions fall in line with what kind of account you're trying to open. And hopefully that will allow you to get the margin trading and being able to have the buying power levels that I have so that you can benefit from that. Now, all that being said, I highly recommend going out to my channel and watching the video I made last week, Selling Puts, What's the Risk? Because again, margin trading can be risky, and if you don't know what you're doing, you could easily blow up your account and lose all your money. So you need to watch that video to know what you're getting into before you start trading on margin. But if you have any questions, let me know. Hopefully that helps you now understand what you need to do to get the approval to start selling puts with a margin account.